So, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to all of you who have joined us from, um, I don't know whichever part of the world, but welcome to this session. We are glad to have you. And last but not the least, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today, who is Mr. Mansoor Mohammad, who comes with over 18 years of experience and commercial industry knowledge in portfolio, program, and project management, with the ability to continually define structure and deliver high profile, high value, complex, and challenging programs of work. Not only that, but Mansoor has also been an integral part of the KnowledgeHut team and will take us through the session today. So, without any further delay, Mansoor, over to you.
Thank you for your kind words, Sushil. Welcome everyone. This is the part 5 of our series, which is Agile Trends webinar, which I present for KnowledgeHut team. So my name is Mansoor. I have been an Agile coach, a consultant, and my research, my PhD is in Agile governance. That's my area of research. That's my area of research which I do. I've been mentored by Dean Leffingwell. That's me with Dean Leffingwell being mentored way back in 2013, right? So it's been almost nearing a decade with both KnowledgeHut and as well as SAFE, and this journey continues further. I've helped organizations like Airbus Helicopters, Optus, Telstra in their Agile transformation journey. And today we'll be talking about organization agility, which is part of my research and very, very close to my heart. So this is Dean Leffingwell. He talks about every business is a software business, and to achieve business agility, that means to say the whole organizations have to go agile. So organizations have been agile at team levels, okay, and trying to scale up to the program levels. But the big grapple is at a portfolio level as well as at an organization level. Okay, so a lot of organizations do face a challenge when they look at moving the level of agility from the team level to the program level to the portfolio level and the organization level. So it's very important for us to engage all the parts of our business, all the parts of our organization to go towards agile and make the whole entire organization agile, not just the development team going agile. And we should help teams innovate business faster so that we compete in our world today. There's a lot of examples, right, where organizations didn't evolve and didn't transform and they perished. For example, we have, the Nokia. Nokia is a classic example, right? And then we had the blockbusters, right? So the blockbusters gave way to the Netflix, right? So we need to really understand what agility means, not only from a development perspective, but from an organization perspective. That plays a very, very important role. So business agility requires technical agility. It needs a level of commitment, and everyone involved in the business, right from the finance, the people, the development, the operations, the legal, the marketing, they all need to go agile, right? It's just not the digital systems, but also the business solutions. They need to go agile to make an enterprise agile. So business agility requires technical agility. That is important and requires business level commitment to product and value stream thinking, and requires everyone in delivering business solution use lean and agile practices. Okay, that's very important. How would you like to see marketing go agile? Yes, they need to integrate with other parts of the business so that even the marketing is agile, change, adapt, right? I was having a conversation with Sushil a few minutes back, saying that what we could do differently in the next webinar, right? So we need to think agile in that way, saying that how would we deliver value to our participants? Yes, you're investing 1 hour of your time. How could we make it different? How could we make more interactive, right? So we need to pivot at point of times and see how and what changes we need to make if things are working or things are not working. How can we make our legal teams go agile? How can we add agility into our contracts, right? What are some words we can use in our contracts to make it flexible, right? Say, for example, you can have some performance elements related in legal terminologies, which can help teams to, have those flexibility in contract rather than being a hard bind document, which is just an aspirational document. And many a times these business cases and these contracts become documents which are aspirational rather than real. They become sale documents rather than an execution or delivery documents. And also, how do we integrate operations into our new ways of working in the ways of DevOps and all the other things which are now in discussion. We were covering the 7 core competencies. Last session was about lean portfolio management, right? We discussed lean portfolio management, and today we are going to cover the next one, which is organization agility. We already covered lean agile leadership, that's already been done, right? And now we are looking at organization agility as the next core competency out of the 7. We are transferring one by one. We are going through the journey of organization agility. When we talk about organization agility, the whole organization needs to be agile. Okay, so everyone, right from the marketing to leadership, right, everyone needs to be agile. They need to understand what agility is, what agility is not, right? And that requires a shift, that requires a mindset, that requires a change in culture, that requires leadership endorsement, that requires leadership support, and that is not done overnight. Okay, so a lot of teams are great at the bottom working on team and technical agility, but when we start mapping that to the program and the portfolio and the organization level, it becomes a big challenge there. Okay. So organization agility needs to look at strategy agility, right? So your strategic agility is important. Your strategy needs to respond to the market dynamics, right? So what are the dynamics of the market? What are the markets need? What are the changes in the market? How do we respond to the market dynamics? What does the market need? What are our customers saying about our product and services, right? And where are our trends moving? So when I used to work for a company called EMC Data Storage Solutions, we used to have a team who was working on research, who was working on looking at the foresters, looking at the gardeners. Okay, so that was very, very important. And looking at where the organizations are going in the future, right? What is the future of artificial intelligence? What is the future of artificial intelligence in our project management or any of these practices, right? How are we aligned? How can the strategy respond to the market dynamics, right? What can change? Because strategy is not written on a rock sent by God through any of the prophets, right? So the strategy has to change based upon the market condition and even the product we are building. Okay, so if you're building a high-tech product, then your strategies will change because the market is evolving, the technologies are evolving, and your strategies also need to be evolved, right? So for organizations to be agile, you need to go back and take a look at the strategic agility of the organization, right? How you can actually move and how you can actually change the market dynamics. That is very, very important. So you need to have an organization-wide lean mindset. So you need to make sure that your organization has a lean mindset. It needs to have lean thinking leaders, which I've covered in the last leadership topic, right? The leaders should move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, right? They should encourage innovation. They should provide team and space for teams to innovate. They need to provide continuous improvement in business process. We just can't say that we have done and dusted and the process is improving. The process needs to change. It needs to evolve, right? The organization agility competency will describe how lean thinking people, organization, teams optimize their business process with a view of customer in their mind. Okay, they will always think about the customer. Customer is someone who will hire us or fire us. Okay, and they will evolve with strategy being clear, decisive, new commitments, quickly adapt to organization needs, capitalize on new opportunities, build lean thinking people, lean thinking teams. Everyone involved in the solution delivery is trained in lean management, right? And lean and agile methodologies. Embrace the values, principles of being lean, the philosophies, as well as look at embracing the agile methodologies, right? The lean business operations, they have to look at applying lean principles to understand what the customer journey maps looks like. What does a customer really want? Look at empathy maps, Look at continuous improvement process, which will serve products and services, right? We'll look at strategy agility, where the enterprise shows the adaptability of changing quickly and transforming so that they can quickly change strategy as required. We've seen this in pandemic, right? It's not new, where organizations who are car manufacturers started, building ventilators, right? We have seen them going into healthcare. We've seen a shift, we've seen a transition, we've seen how organizations can quickly transition from one state to another so that they can adapt to cater what organizations need, what market demand needs, right, and what the people need, rather than producing things which is not relevant and things being there static for a long period of time, right? So those who adapt win faster. That's a very important concept. And if we don't adapt, we'll become the relics like the Nokias and the blockbusters, right? And many of these like the Kodaks, right? So there are plenty examples. So you need to be agile in your mentality, in the thinking, in the lean mindset, in the business operation, as well as strategic agility. Now, people will ask me a question: how often do we go back and revisit strategy, right? So your strategy has to be revisited based upon your market conditions. If your market conditions are pretty stable, yes, it could be yearly or 6 monthly or every 3 months. But if your market conditions change, the new technologies emerge, and you're in a high-tech industry, right? It could be more often. So you need to look at what are the risks, what are the threats from the industry coming in. Will you be still relevant in the next few months, few weeks, few years, right? Because of the VUCA condition, right? The volatility, ambiguity, uncertainty, right? You should be very, very clear about the VUCA situation and how that will impact your ways of working in the industry. So that plays a very, very important role. Yeah. Okay. So having a lean mindset, having looking at continuous improvement, having at how would you respond to the opportunities and threats at an industry level is very important. Listening to your customers, listening to your teams, okay, that is very important. Getting feedback, passing that feedback right from the grassroots level to the leadership level is very important for us to survive, right? Rather than having just one mindset and move forward. Organizations need to be agile, where we talk about the value. So you need to look at what is value-driven delivery. That is important. The base is the leadership. Okay, you have the leadership foundations, right? You need to ensure continuity and flow. You need to look at innovation, give time and space for innovation for the teams, right? And also you need to focus on relentless improvement, right? So that's very important. When I talk about flow, there should be no start stop, right? That could take a lot of time from your organization. Okay, so you need to have a continuous process of continuous development, which is supported by the product owners, scrum masters, the agile teams, as well as the release train engineer, and whatever roles you have. You need to look at your organization team maturity cycle. So as a consultant, when I go to organizations and I look at the team maturity, I do a maturity assessment, and this assessment talk about whether your teams are in a pre-crawl stage or a crawl stage or a walk stage or a run stage or a fly stage, right? So we need to understand what are the different stages and how can you actually transition to become more agile, right? And agile team maturity doesn't happen in one day or a week. It is a process. It takes time. Okay, for that you need to know your value stream, you need to specialize on principles and practices, correct? And that will go on, and the maturity is built over a period of time. It's just not a one-day activity where an agile coach or a consultant would come in and talk about making everything agile within a day or a week or a month. It doesn't happen. It's a slow process. Okay, it's an adaptive process, and it will take time and energy for this to actually inculcate and move forward. Okay, and once the team embeds the practices and processes, it gets specialized in principles and practices, and it says how best you can actually go ahead to deliver value. All right, and to assess team maturity, we have different models of maturity assessment test. Okay, so normally when I go to an organization, I ask the teams to answer a few questions, right? I understand what is their level, and I give remediation of how to move from level 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, so on and so forth. And it's a journey, and many a times multiple teams would have different maturity cycle, right? And the organization could have a different maturity cycle, so we need to understand from the team perspective, other teams perspective, other business unit perspective, as well as from the leadership perspective, as to what is the maturity of an agile team versus a agile organization, and craft out a journey to move from one stage to another. The more the mature team, the better they perform in the development of organization agility. So team maturity is a very, very important one. And we do have a lot of customized test which comes in picture. This is one of the pictures from Travelport International, courtesy Travelport, right? So they have used corridors for portfolio prioritization. Okay, so they've used portfolio. So when you have executives and other people who move in the corridor, they can have a look and they can prioritize, as to what has to be done and what has not to be done. So organizations have gone agile. I implemented a similar type of board called Visual Management Board for Airbus helicopters. Right? Initially, Airbus helicopters were a little resistant to the agile ways of working, but when we moved further, uh, we had to create this visual management boards and all these great things which came into picture, and the leadership teams started to understand the value of what agile is, right? And they started implementing it, and they started liking it, they started using it, and that became a norm as we go, right? It became a norm, and people start liking, and they started implementing. So you could have these visual boards at a team level, at a program level, at a portfolio level, at an organization level, so that you can gain visibility. During my work with EMC, we had large information radiators in our cafes, cafeterias, where people could know what the vision is, what the mission is. In fact, we went to an extent where we had vision and mission written on our mouse pads, so that people, when they're clicking a mouse, they could see why we are here, right? And good organization and good leaders start with why. Okay, they start with why. It's very important for us to articulate the reason of our existence. Okay, why are we here? What are we doing? Right? Why should we be here? So that's a very, very important part of organization agility, where we get the whole organization to synchronize and make understand the purpose of why we are here and the purpose of existence. That plays a very, very important role in organization agility. And for that too, you need good leadership team who can actually help team to think about the value of organization agility and how we go agile. Any questions, anyone?
Consider an organization as an 100% agile environment. What are the parameters or key factors to decide that the organization, yeah, it's working on 100% agile environment rather than following a traditional waterfall?
Okay, so that's a very good question. Thank you, Karthik, on that. So it's very important. So it's not a question whether it's waterfall or agile, right? So for example, the Airbus helicopters, if you see their delivery approach, right, building of helicopter, you can think very, very linear, right? So when I started doing the agile transformation and Airbus helicopters, people said, oh, we will not sit in an agile aircraft or an agile helicopter, okay? So there could be some process which go still traditional, but again, we need to start looking how we embed agile process. For example, even in traditional approach, you can have agile methodologies applied. For example, participatory budgeting, right? So we use the SAFe methodology for applying participatory budgeting. So we need to make a decision between should an organization go agile. If we have to go agile, to what level do we need to go agile? Why do we need to go agile? In my experience, I've seen organizations have gone agile just because their competitors have gone agile and they want to go agile. Okay, that is not the reason. So the parameters, what we have to see is if the leadership team talks about empowering people, okay, if the leadership team talk about innovation, if the leadership team encourages new solutions to come in, encourages listening to the customer and getting the customer feedback and add that feedback into the development cycle, right? That is where we need to start thinking, should we move agile? Okay, how dynamic is our environment? How dynamic is the market changing? What is the appetite of a customer for adapting those change, right? So we went towards open banking, right? Now we are hearing a lot of things going open, right? I was working on a project with one of the organizations here in Australia, a banking organization, where we went open. So banking has been very, very traditional, and then the development started more, the agile approach, right? Now we are looking, how can we transfer that in different industries? How we can make it open? So the key parameters for an organization to decide whether they want to go at an organization agility is: number one, the technology they're working; number two, the support from the leadership team; number three, the organization's appetite for change, the team's appetite for change, team's appetite for innovation, organization appetite for innovation, as well as will my customer look for this new adopted methodology and change. Can my customer wait for a solution, for a big bang solution after 6 months or 1 year, or will my customer move away to someone else? Karthik, answer?
Yes, that's it. That's it, Mansoor. Thanks for clarifying.
No problem. Anyone else? So it's not a question whether the organization has to go traditional or agile. Okay, it's about how much agility can an organization, absorb. How much an organization can be agile. Even a construction company can go agile. So just a simple example: when I built my house here in Australia, in Sydney, right, it is pretty traditional. You have a fixed contract, and you have to decide the design and everything well in advance, correct? But I had a site supervisor who was wonderful, and at every stage he wanted me to review. Okay, I told him one thing: at the end of this project, I'll teach you project management, and that too in an agile way. So yes, the design was fixed, but whenever there was a situation, he would call me. I would always tell him I would not need surprises. Okay. So for example, one day he called up and he said, "Hey Mansoor, I'm not sure whether you've got about 3 or 4 lines in your kitchen, and that kitchen tiles can go right up to the ceiling, to the roof, right?" It just costed him about 10 tiles additional, but I hadn't to go through a long process where I had to go through the administration work, pay extra. It was just hardly costing him $50 or $100. But the amount of satisfaction I got was enormous. He built that equity with me, okay, just by doing that little. Then one day he just calls me and says, "Hey Mansoor, I think you've got such a big porch in your front yard, and in the porch you've forgotten to put a light, right?" For me, it's just very easy to pull up a line. My electrician is already there. I just need to leave a wire, and then you can put a fitting there, right? I was amazed. It would have hardly costed him $10 or $20 just pulling a wire, additional wire. Right? But the amount of satisfaction I got was enormous. So these little things build in equity, and that was agility for me. If this site supervisor had said, "Hey Mansoor, you've forgotten this," or couldn't have said this, and I had to do these little things after the handoff, they would have costed me thousands of dollars just to call someone to get into your roof and pull a wire or put an additional connection. It is enormous cost here in Australia. The labor cost is very high. Okay, so that little things encourage agility, right? And I can give you a lot of instances like this. Even a construction project can go agile if you have the right people who can think what agility is, rather than looking at every dollar and every cent saying that, what, this would cost me $1 or a cent. The impact of that behavior and that mindset of my site supervisor made me recommend this builder to at least about 6 or 7 of my friends. Just imagine the amount of business he would have got from the 7 customers, right? 7 or 8 customers. Okay? So that is agility in action. So you need to listen to your leadership team. You need to listen to your team members. You need to listen to your customers and see how you can implement and stay relevant in the market. Got it? Okay, all right. So a little busy slide here. To deliver value, okay, we have something called value streams. Okay, value streams play a very, very important role, right? So we look at how do we, attract our customers, right? So we look at something called customer journey map. Okay. So when a customer enters the system, okay, for me, okay, how the participants enter the webinar session, how do they interact, how they behave, how they ask questions, right? How will they look for more webinars? How would they convert into a training, right? How would they require consulting support, correct? For me, that's a customer journey map. So how would I attract the customer? How would I look at, the systems what we have? Okay, how can we work on the system? How can we complete a loan application? So for example, the one which is there on the screen is more about a couple trying to go for a loan. Okay, so how do we attract our customers? How do we quote a rate, in what circumstances, right? Are they eligible for getting a loan, right? Can they get extended loan terms? Can we award a loan? Can we set up some payment terms, right? How do we make payments? So that end-to-end value stream is important. So for an agile organization, we need to look at how do we actually go in and build product and systems using operational and development value stream. Each value stream delivers value to our customer. Okay, they remove waste. They see how we deliver value to a customer, right? They see end-to-end process. They see where are the bottlenecks in the process. They see which part of process is working, which part of process is not working, right? How do we do value stream mapping? How do we remove non-value added work, and how do we add value added work? Okay, team, your customer defines the value, your business defines the value. It's very important to interact with your customer to understand what their lifetime value is all about. Okay, so it's very important for us to understand what the lifetime value is all about. What do they get? What do they see? What do they feel? How do they manage the whole journey end to end? Are there any bottlenecks in the process, right? So we should not lose our customer in this whole journey, and we need to be engaged with our customer, right? And we need to use both the operational value streams as well as development value stream to actually work on building our products and service and engage. And many a times you may have teams who define, build, test, and release value to our customers who may not be co-located. They could be in different parts of the United States, could be in India, could be Bangalore, Delhi, Chicago, right? Estonia, or even Sydney, right? So they all need to define together, they need to build together, they need to test together and release together. And you need to find the kidney. When I say kidney, you need to find the right resources who will be part of your agile release train to deliver value to our customer. The moment we realize there is no value being delivered, we need to stop, right? We might need to think about terminating the product or the service of we are going. So we need to look at how do we deliver value to our customer, and the customer is the one who receives the value, and we should be, as an organization, as a product, ready. The customer should be able to pull the product or the service when the customer wants, not when we are ready to give. Okay, so most of the organization do the other way. They try to build a product, when they finish, then they give it to the customer, right? But we should be in a situation where the product is ready, where the customer can pull value at any given point of time. For example, Amazon, right? A high-tech company, they keep pushing value, they keep pushing updates, right? Every day, every week, correct? So that is the agility where they can look at, and also they can roll back if there are any problems or challenges. Okay, so they have the agility and adaptability in the systems, in the process where they work, so that you can actually build the process and services for your customers. And so to implement business agility and organization agility, we need to measure and grow. Okay, so as consultant, what I do is I go to organization, I look at the maturity level, right, and create these radar charts to see what is the maturity level, modify these charts so that we have these outputs. We look at how do we lead change, how do we lead by example. So basically we are looking leadership, lean and agile leadership. So in lean and agile leadership, we look at agile mindset and principles, looking at are the leadership team looking to move the people from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? Can the leadership team lead the change, right? Can they lead the team with the quarter 8-step model, right? The quarter 8-step model talks about communicating the vision, right? Finding champions for change, right? Understanding what the change is all about, finding those change agents, embedding the changes, right? And make the organization move forward with the changes, right? When we move back from the organization should still be working on this change. The leadership team needs to lead by examples, right? So if I come in late, what will my team do? They all will come late, right? So we need to lead by examples. We need to lead by ethos, right? That's important. Organization agility, where we'll talk about strategic agility. How often is my strategy, going back and revisit it? Okay, that's important. Uh, how often do we have strategic planning sessions? Who will be involved? In one of the major organizations, when I was involved for strategy formulation, I just had the CEO of the company and just me and his personal assistant looking at the organization strategy. When I asked where are the other people, and he said, no, this is how we normally formulate a strategy, where we have a consultant who comes in, right? And I had to reconvene a meeting with various department heads and business heads, correct? So that their input is important, because when you're formulating a strategy and you do not have the right buy-in from your department heads and the people who are responsible, these changes to strategy will not work, okay? Once they go back into the organization and they say, hey, whatever Mansoor discussed was not up to the mark, the rest of the 50, 100, 200 people who are listening to that leader or that manager will not be aligned, okay? So having that strategic agility and strategic alignment plays a very, very important role at every level, okay? Right? Having lean business operation, creating community of practices, that is important, right? Having an agile PMO plays a very important role in organization agility, where you have the PMOs, instead of being the governance bodies where they are very strict, that can actually move, that can actually change. And also having lean thinking people and agile teams who are open to learning, right? That is very important. Where people think not only about themselves but also others, right? So my growth is dependent upon your growth and my team's growth. That is very, very important. You need to have a learning organization which always learns and always is open to learning, moving away from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Encouraging innovation, giving the time and space for innovation is important. Building agile teams, building quality using behavior driven development, test driven development, having definition of done, right? Creating teams of agile teams at a program level. Look at customer centricity and design thinking, developing on cadence, releasing on demand, right? Having DevOps being integrated. So as we go further, we will talk about more of these parameters, but today I would just like to focus on these are the things. Coordinating teams, suppliers, how do you make your suppliers go agile? That's very important in organization agility. It takes just a simple training, train your suppliers and move them towards agile. It's very important for your suppliers to align your way of working, because you're working together as a team. You'll continuously evolve life systems, right? Investment funding, agile portfolio operations, lean governance. These all play a very important role in organization agility. Thank you, Sushil. Thank you, KnowledgeHut, for providing me an opportunity again. And we'll see you next month again. Every month, the first Friday, we have a session. We happen to slip this time for the second Friday, but every first Friday of every month, same time, same place, on the same platform, with our dear Sushil and myself, who will be hosting the session. Thank you, Sushil, for
Absolutely.
all your time and efforts, and I look forward for more sessions like this.
Thank you, Mansoor, for that wonderful session. And once again, um, thank you. Thanks, a big thanks to the audience as well who joined us today. And we definitely hope to see you for the next session. I hope you've made a note of the schedule as well on the screen. So feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to help you out in any best way that is possible. So once again, wish you all a good day, and people who have joined us from around the globe, wish you a good night as well. Thank you, Mansoor. Thank you, everyone. See you guys soon.